Well, hi there, and welcome once again to Unstoppable Mindset. And this episode, we get to talk with Christopher Hall. Christopher is an interesting person by any standards. He's got the luxury of being a first-generation multiracial American. He is passionate about helping others, and he does a lot of different things and has a lot of life experiences, which is what makes this really funny. And not only funny, but fun. I shouldn't say funny, really, because it is fun to really be able to talk about experiences and talk about them very seriously. And so Christopher really has a lot of experiences that a lot of us don't normally get to experience and share. And so I think we're all going to be drawn in by our discussion today. And with that, I want to welcome you to Unstoppable Mindset. Do I call you Christopher or Chris?
You could call me Chris. And thank you so much, Michael, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Then I will call you Chris, just not late for dinner. And Chris lives back in Pennsylvania. So right now we're recording this at 7:34 in the evening. He just got home from work. So you haven't had dinner yet, have you?
No, I haven't, but I made sure to, pass by Starbucks for a quick snack. So I'm good until dinner.
Well, what's the snack today?
The snack was an Impossible breakfast sandwich, actually. So,
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's an Impossible breakfast sandwich? What's that?
So it is a breakfast sandwich on a ciabatta bread with eggs, cheese, and Impossible meat because I'm pescatarian. So I only eat fish. Yeah. And it's pretty good. It hits the spot.
What kind of fish was it? Do you know?
Well, it wasn't fish that I specifically ordered this time, but it was Impossible beef. So it was plant-based beef.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Me, I'm a shrimp fan myself, but that's another story.
Awesome.
So you are from New York. You've been in New York. Why don't we go back and start at the beginning? Why don't you tell us a little bit about you, Chris, the young person growing up and all that stuff, and let's go from there.
Absolutely. So I was born in 97 in Brooklyn, New York. And I was raised around Bay Ridge, and I moved to Queens, New York when I was about 6 years old. And I lived in Queens for most of my life. Ended up going to elementary school, middle school, junior high school, all in Queens. Went to high school in Long Island, just about 20 minutes away. And I attended Baruch College in Manhattan. And that's where I decided to pursue my degree in finance. I was really, really passionate about finance and math. That's just a little bit about my upbringing, at least in the New York side. New York is such a diverse place.
Yeah, it is. So multiracial, what races?
Oh, gosh. Where do I even begin? So
this is a long list. Okay.
Yes. So both of my parents are from the Caribbean. But just through generations of family, they come from a lot of places. Mm-hmm. So on my mom's side, she's from the island of Martinique, but I have grandparents that originate from India. On my dad's side, my dad was born in the country of Haiti, but he's white in complexion, and both of his parents actually immigrated from England and France to Haiti. And I also have heard that I have Middle Eastern genes in my blood as well. So very, very mixed between Caribbean, Middle Eastern, Indian, and European.
Wow. And again, you were born where exactly?
I was born in Brooklyn, New York.
So there you go. The melting pot of the world by most any standard, or one of them. Well, so you were raised by your mom, I guess primarily, so there wasn't a dad in the picture?
Yeah, so I was primarily raised by my mom. She was a single parent who just took care of me throughout the highs and lows. Um, and I owe her so much. My dad did provide moral support, um, or monetary support, but it was mainly my mom who took care of me, and
Mhm.
I'm tremendously grateful for that.
But you had said when we chatted before that there were a lot of hard times economically, and you also have a disability, or you did. I don't know whether you still regard yourself as having that. Why don't you tell us a little bit about all that?
Yes, absolutely. So my mom works as a housekeeper. She still does, and she's worked as a housekeeper for over 37 years. And while growing up, I went through a lot of tough times and tribulations, and I saw my mom go through so many hardships. There were times that my mom would be late on rent multiple times. There were times that I wasn't able to afford new shoes. There were times that I saw my mom give me food, and unfortunately, I didn't see her eat. Um, but I was very, very, very fortunate that, my mom really, really took the time to instill hope and kindness inside of me. So even though I did witness that, and even though at times it did affect me, I always remained optimistic. In regards to learning disability, ever since young, I was very hyperactive, and I actually did not speak my first word until the age of 4 years old. So I actually went to a delayed language school, because I did not really say my first ever syllable until the age of 4. And I went to a school in Brooklyn called HIDEC, where I was able to learn language and how to enunciate my words. And it was truly a challenge. And even throughout school, and I guess throughout growing up, really, I struggled with attention deficit disorder and dyslexia. And there were so many things that I struggled to understand. I struggled to comprehend. And I remember vividly taking so much longer than my peers around me. And I
Mhm.
remember vividly studying for hours, trying to work so hard, and I wasn't getting the grades that I wanted. Um, so that is still something that I do struggle with to this day in regards to um, concentration. But I have figured out ways to really navigate it, just by understanding my body, understanding the way my mind works, and really working for myself, or working with myself rather, in order to ensure that I'm putting my best foot forward.
Mhm. So you still deal with dyslexia today?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
I do.
So, if I may, um, a couple of things come to mind. Let's go back to your mom and you had a lot of challenges economically and so on. How do you think that has shaped your outlook on life today? And what is your outlook on life?
That's a great question. Um, I guess to start off with the first point, what really stood out to me, I guess, when I saw my mom experience the things that she did, was really learning about the power of being mindful, the power of being mindful with how I save and how I spend my money. Um, and also understanding that, um, you should always prepare for any form of situation that does come your way. But also at the same time, I also learned not to be afraid of investing in myself, because that's so important too. Um, And I'm sorry, Michael, what was the other part of your question?
Well, so you learned to be very mindful of money. You learned to be intentional about what you do, and how. So it clearly hasn't made you bitter to have gone through all that stuff, and I find that fascinating and actually very joyous and wonderful because I've spoken to a number of people on this podcast who have had in their own way similar situations. That is, they have had adverse situations they've had to deal with growing up, and they come out of it recognizing what they had and appreciating what they had and what they have now in so many ways, and are very articulate about it, and say that even so they wouldn't have changed or traded their childhoods for anything because of the fact that in reality they learned so much because of what they had to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I definitely do concur with that point. I feel like coming from humble beginnings allows you to learn and grow. And I feel also, at least for me personally, the most valuable things in life aren't things that are necessarily tangible like money. It's they're things that are intangible, such
Mm-hmm.
as, feeling joy, feeling love, um, having peace of mind. And and I feel like throughout the duration of my childhood, I experienced that because I have a beautiful mother that always, told me about the power of having hope, of having kindness, of helping others. Um, and it allowed me to grow up with really a lot of humility and just see that there are things that happen in life. Um, so yeah, I'm tremendously grateful for my childhood. So thank you for asking that question, Michael.
Now, at the same time, you had learning disabilities, you had issues with dyslexia and ADHD. How did you navigate through all that and come through that? It had to be frustrating. Or was it not necessarily because you really didn't know for a long time what really was going on?
Yeah, great question. So I wasn't officially diagnosed with ADD and dyslexia until I was in about ninth grade. So this was around the age of 14 or 15.
Mm.
And it was hard and it was very, very frustrating. But my mom realized from young that I really needed extra attention when it came to schooling. And it was from there that my mom said, you know what, I'm going to take time to invest in my child. Um, and literally, I am my mom's investment. I remember, her taking me to programs such as Kumon and Score, me going to an ideal Montessori school when I was young. And, she would take the time to invest like $350 a month, $360 a month to send me to a private school. And I remember, you know, waking up at 5 a.m. to get ready by 5:45 and, go on a 2 hour commute, 2.5 hour commute from Brooklyn to Queens. And getting that individualized learning. So I'm very, very grateful in that regard. My mom saw the power of good teachers, good programs, and education. And I feel like that just made things easier for me because it encouraged me, because it made me realize that it's not like I'm incapable of learning. I just learn in a different way. I just comprehend information and obtain it in a different way. And it was through learning, through beautiful teachers and individuals who pushed me, that I realized, hey, I am able to do that. and it gives a great sense of empowerment. And, later on when school got a lot more serious, and, when you're in sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, you're taking um, very core curriculum courses in order to get you ready for high school. And I realized that I was struggling during that time. In seventh grade, I was failing a lot of my classes. I realized the importance of, hey, maybe I do need to go to a specialized doctor to see if I could get the help that I needed. And I ended up going to a doctor that specialized in ADD and dyslexia and things cognitively in regards to the brain and in regards to how you process information. And I took assessments, I took tests, and that's when I received my official diagnosis. And I was very fortunate that I was actually prescribed medication, and I was able to take that during high school. And that really helped me, and that served me tremendously. And I took medication, I would say, from high school up until my sophomore year of college, and it helped me when it came to concentration.
Then you were able to stop taking the medication anymore?
Yeah, so currently I do not. And I was able to find natural ways to really aid with my concentration in regards to just organizational skills, natural supplements, really adequate sleep. Adequate sleep helps me a lot. Going to bed at certain times also helps me a lot too with my concentration.
There you go.
Yeah.
Do you find that the natural remedies do as well or even better than taking the typical Western science medication? And I ask that because I've talked to people on this podcast from both sides of that. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, great question. I would personally say yes. In the very beginning, in all transparency, I did have a lot of doubt where I just said to myself, like, oh, is this really going to work? I took, a Western prescribed medicine for 5 to 6 years. Mm-hmm. Is the natural remedy going to work the same way? So in my mind, I started to have doubts, but I really took the time to do my due diligence and research. I looked at different natural supplements. I tried different things, and I was really able to see what worked well for me. And I do have to say it does work as well, for sure. Absolutely. I think you do need to be a lot more, disciplined, however, with your habits. In order for it to work efficiently, such as like your sleep and your exercise. For me, exercising and sleep actually helps me a lot with my concentration.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So you strike me as a person who has been very grateful for all that you've had, which is great. One of the things that I've noticed from a lot of people who we've had the honor to chat with, who have been through a lot of adversity and come out of it the other end, I think is the best way to put it, mm-hmm. is that not only are they grateful, but they love to give back, which I think is important. I think I've been doing some of that ever since being in the World Trade Center on September 11th. And I decided after that if I could speak as people were starting to invite me to do, and if I could sell philosophy and life instead of selling computer hardware, it was a lot more rewarding. So do you do that? And how do you give back to the world and to people because of the things that you've experienced?
Absolutely. Great question, Michael. So I try my utmost best to give back in any way I can. I would say you could give back in the smallest of ways. Um, I know with me, I try to give back through teaching, mainly through helping others. So one huge initiative that I've taken ever since 2017, when I was a junior in college, was actually to pay it forward and help people when it comes to obtaining internships and when it comes to obtaining full-time jobs. And I did it originally because I had a mentor who worked at Morgan Stanley, and his name is Christopher too. And he took time out of his very busy schedule, working 60, 70, 80 plus hour weeks, just to mentor me and teach me. And, I went from someone who was just very, very shy and reserved. I didn't have that much friends, to someone that was brave, eager, and determined to network with people, to connect with people, to get to learn more about others. And it was through that I feel like my passion for giving back, at least when it came to mentorship, was born. So I've primarily have done that through my college campus when I was in college, and also via LinkedIn as well. And I'm grateful to say, to date, I've volunteered, and I've helped about 300, maybe 350 to 400 people for free. And I realized that I was very great at mentorship, and I realized that I was able to really give back to others, and others really appreciated what I had to offer. And I turned that into a side business over time in about 2020 or 2021.
Wow. How do you continue to mentor people? You've mentored hundreds of people. How do you do that without getting tired? And how do you just keep going forward?
That's a great question. I would have to say I remember my why. I know for me, when I was struggling and going through so many challenges in middle school, high school, college, I had a long time tutor, teacher, someone who I would even consider a family friend, who took the time to teach me and believe in me and help me. And it was even during the times I didn't believe in myself. And I remembered vividly, he would always say, take the time to rest, but keep on moving forward, keep on going. And during the time that I mentored people, there were times that I was dealing with other responsibilities in life. There were times that I was dealing with challenges, setbacks, etc. But I knew that if I had the opportunity to positively affect someone's life, that could not only affect their life, but also affect their family's life and the people around them in a very, very positive and optimistic way. So I kept that in the forefront of my mind. And during the times that I felt tired, or if I felt like I needed a break, I took the time to get rest, because resting and recharging is so important. But I never quit. In addition to that, I feel like what really allowed me to just remain resilient is just by seeing how my mom approached situations. There were times that my mom worked 12 to 14-hour days, 6 days a week, even 7 days a week. And she would always take the time to do things with a smile on her face, even though she was exhausted. And that was something that really inspired me. So ever since young, I told myself, hey, if I am tired, but if I'm doing something great, I'm going to take the time to remain resilient and go through it. And that's something that served me personally.
Well, you clearly had a role model that helped with your mom. And
I had a lot of role models, yes.
Yeah, you had a lot of role models, but your mom certainly set the tone, and that helped.
Absolutely, for sure.
So you have said that you treat your vocation like a vacation. Tell me about that.
Yes.
I figured I'd ask you that one.
Yes. So, gosh, I actually did not know what the word vocation was until my senior year in high school. In 12th grade, I had a psychology teacher by the name of Donato Mangaluzzo. He goes by the name of Mr. Mong for short. And he always talked about the power of doing things that make you feel passion and true love inside. And he always talked about the power of going after your goals and going after your dreams and not being afraid to set yourself apart. And he would always tell us this continuously in class. He says, you'll reach an amazing stage in your life when you make your vocation a vacation, when you make your work something that you love. And I really resonated with that. And that's what I've strived to do ever since my senior year in high school. Going forward, I ask myself, like, okay, outside of me taking care of my needs, like financially, does this role or does this hobby, something that I'm doing, does it make me happy? Because life goes by quickly. And it's great to feel happy.
Yeah. So you graduated from college. What do you do now?
So I graduated from Baruch in 2019, and I currently work at the Boeing company. So I work as a finance contract specialist, and I really love what I do.
Tell me more about what that means, like what your job is.
Absolutely. So I help with selling V-22 helicopters to the government. So I look at contract proposals, I write drafts of letters, and I help with negotiating in order to help, sell these to the government, such as the U.S. Navy and the U.S. Army. And I've been with Boeing for about 2.5 years, a little over 2.5 years. And ever since I was 17, I was passionate about aviation and aerospace. It was something that I've always wanted to pursue. And I was very fortunate that I wanted to pursue like a space like that, because aviation, I think, is such a diverse and really niche community. Even though aviation is so big, you see airplanes in the sky all the time, you see helicopters in the sky all the time. But being able to be in an industry where you're able to serve millions of people is something absolutely fascinating, and I'm grateful to do what I do every day.
But you also have started a career in coaching and public speaking. Tell me a little bit more about that. What got you started down that road as well?
Yes, absolutely. Um, so for for career coaching, I guess we'll start there. In 2017, as I mentioned earlier, I had a mentor by the name of Christopher, and he helped me when it came to giving me the opportunity to learn more about interviews and connecting with people and things of that nature. And when I received a full time offer, well, not a full time offer actually, but an internship offer from both Morgan Stanley and the Boeing company, um, I was so happy. I was ecstatic. And I told my mentor, Chris, about this. And he said, Christopher, I'm so proud of you. And I want you to remember something. I want you to do one thing, and that is pay it forward. And that was something that really, 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 stuck with me. And it was something that made me feel so inspired. So ever since November of 2017, I've mentored many people around college campus. And in the end of 2019, when I was graduating from college, I realized, hey, I'm very, very good at this. Maybe I should, see if I could cultivate this into a business. I've been hearing a lot of people say, hey, Christopher, you have something. You are really able to inspire and help others and connect other people as well with their opportunities and help people find their why and their passion. You should turn this into a business. So in 2020, I was thinking about it and I'm asking myself, okay, how can I do this? And unfortunately, COVID happened. It really hit New York City hard in March of 2020 with the lockdowns. And I told myself, you know what? Okay, I'm going to try my utmost best to help as many people as I can because I see people getting laid off left and right. And that simple initiative of wanting to really help people as much as I could turned into me putting a lot of posts on LinkedIn, sharing value added information about how to search for jobs during the time of the pandemic, how to ask informational or how to have informational interviews in an appropriate manner, what questions to ask after an interview, how to answer specific interview type questions. And I would create these posts on LinkedIn, and I took the initiative to set up 45-minute long calls for free from 12 p.m. to 9 p.m., 7 days a week from April of 2020 through August of 2020. And during that time, that was about 11 people a day max that I mentored. During that time, I mentored over 200 people within that 4-month time frame. And in August of 2020, I decided I want to pursue this and I want to transform this into a small time business. And by small time, I don't think that's the right word, but really a side business rather. And during that time, I said, you know what? Let me use Calendly and let me charge $20 for a 25-minute mentorship session. And I was very, very grateful that I was able to obtain clients that wanted to, learn more and they wanted to pay for my services. And it started from there. And in regards to public speaking, I would say I had a passion for public speaking and really helping others, at least in regards to speaking in public ever since 2019. That just started with me um, being curious and seeing if any elementary schools, high schools, or colleges needed a speaker in order to help with providing students motivation. And it was from there that I decided to reach out to high schools and colleges. At the time, I was in Seattle. And I realized when I, took the time to get out of my comfort zone and speak, it left the students feeling very, very inspired and very motivated. And that's how my passion for public speaking was born. And so far, I've spoken to the University of Washington to provide a workshop there. I've spoken to my alma mater, which is Razi School, um, and I've spoken to other um, small various places as well, and that's something that I'm very passionate about too.
How did you find some of these places to speak at? Like University of Washington, that's clearly quite a ways away from you.
Yes, so before moving to Pennsylvania, I was actually in Seattle for about a year. And I actually have a lot of friends that attended the University of Washington, and Boeing actually has a very good relationship with the University of Washington as
I
well.
would hope.
So it was very, very easy for me to leverage my connections and have the opportunity to speak there.
So does Boeing know that you're doing public speaking like this?
I would say yes. Yes, they do. I posted on LinkedIn and I talk about my love for speaking with others to to my team. So they're fully supportive of it.
Well, it certainly has continued to work out pretty well for you, needless to say, which is as important as it could possibly be. What have you taken in the way of lessons from your work at Boeing that has helped you in the rest of the things that you do?
Absolutely. So I would have to say there have been a couple of things. Number one is networking. Really taking the time to network is truly so important. So when it comes to, connecting with others, collaborating with others, when it comes to specific projects or tasks, building rapport is truly so important, because at the end of the day, people will give you opportunities if they know you and they're able to vouch for your work ethic, if they know who you are, what is your personality, what you bring to the table. So that is truly important. Networking and fostering relationships, I would say, is number one. Number two, one thing that I've learned is, and it really alludes to number one, is ensuring that you have good rapport with people as much as you can. Never burn your bridges. The world is very big, but it's also very, very small. People talk and individuals know each other. So always take the time to put your best foot forward, and lead with transparency, lead with love. Always take the time to serve others in any way you can. It really helps tremendously. And that is something that I've learned. And number three, I would have to say, one of the biggest things that I've learned through Boeing is never be afraid of interacting with others. I know throughout my time, at the Boeing company, there were times that I was intimidated to reach out to a senior vice president or a managing director, or a CEO of a Boeing business unit. But I realized throughout my time, um, people are eager to connect and really help. At least that's most people. So, well, what I would say is, I guess the common theme between all of those three things is not being afraid to put yourself out there and really take the time to add value and do good.
As a motivational speaker, what theme do you think resonates most with your audiences, and why is it important today?
Yes, so I would have to say resilience is something that definitely resonates with a lot of my audience members, because the thing about life is life will have its challenges, and at times it will be unpredictable, and there will always be uncertainty. There will always be, individuals that may not recognize or see your potential. Um, and one thing that I feel that my audience really connects with me about is empathy, and really taking the time to just understand how to navigate through hardships. And that is something that I speak about a lot when I mentor and when I speak to crowds as well. It's the power of overcoming challenges, taking the time to go the extra mile, learning how to believe in yourself when a lot of people don't believe in you, taking the time to cultivate your mindset when you are in a very, very, very dark place. These are all the things that I feel my audience relates with a lot, because a lot of my mentees, one thing that I've realized in regards to a common theme is all of them are intelligent, all of them are capable, but there are life situations and challenges that people go through that make things less than ideal. Someone may go through a layoff, someone may have a death in their family, someone may have gone through trauma. And oftentimes it's very, very easy for people to lose hope in themselves. And there is that life challenge, right? A toxic job, a toxic workforce, whatever the case may be. So in regards to my mentorship and with my public speaking as well, it's not just so me teaching you how to find a job, it's me giving you the tools to allow you to navigate through your emotions, to allow you to find your why, to find your passion, to find what makes you spark, and make you go after that. So I feel like that's a very important, critical theme, especially in what I discuss on a day-to-day basis.
So what kind of tools do you give people? So you talk about the fact that they face challenges and so on. What do you actually teach them in the way of tools to deal with that?
Absolutely. So I teach them different things, primarily through affirmations. I teach them about the power of affirmations, the power of journaling, the power of taking the time to navigate through your emotions and really take the time to write down how you're feeling, what are the challenges you're going through, and where do you see yourself going to moving forward. What are things that you want to start doing, what are things that you want to stop doing, what are things you want to continue doing as well. I talk to people about the power of mindfulness, and about the power of also meditation as well. One thing that I'm very, very big on is spirituality and how it helps people, more so with connecting with your true self, with who you are. And that is something that I really do feel helps a lot of individuals as well, because everyone has a personal story and everyone has a challenge and a struggle that a lot of people don't know about.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, you've used mindfulness as a term a number of times. What does that mean exactly?
Mindfulness just means being aware, at least for me, being aware of your emotions and your thoughts, how they make you feel in that moment, and how they drive your behavior. So, what are your patterns when you feel stressed? What are your patterns when you feel discouraged? And by patterns, I mean, what do you tend to do in that moment? What do you resort to? What are how do you face it? Um, what do you run away from? What do you incorporate in your day-to-day habits, in your day-to-day life? Things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
Another part of mindfulness is how you make others feel. But in regards to one-on-one personable mentorship, I really concentrate on helping others really navigate how they feel with their own emotions and how they navigate through that.
Well, you keep pretty busy between speaking and working at Boeing and coaching. How do you do that and keep a work-life balance? How do you find time to rest and rejuvenate yourself, if you will?
Absolutely. So I do it through a couple of ways, and that's such a great question you asked, Michael. I guess number one, I'm really, really passionate about mentorship and helping others. And I'm very passionate about Boeing. So one thing that I feel that's great is that even if I do have a busy schedule, it doesn't exhaust me or drain me. I may feel tired naturally. I may want to pause, take a break, and be re-energized, but it doesn't drain me in the sense where I dread that I'm doing what I'm doing. I love everything that I do. So in regards to what makes me feel energized, there are a couple of things that do. Number one is music. I am a very, very, very big fan of all styles of music. I love to play the drums, and I've played them on and off for about 17 years. So, listening to music in the car, while I'm taking a walk outside, while I'm running, that really helps me a lot. Speaking of taking a walk outside and running, one thing that I love to do is I love to connect with nature. So I love to go for walks. I love to hike. I love to explore new different neighborhoods, like just different areas in general, and that re-energizes me. Another thing too is talking with great friends, with amazing people. So it could be something as small as meeting up with a friend to grab lunch or dinner, or playing basketball, or watching a movie, um, or even doing something as simple as staying on the couch and petting my cat. Right, those are all the things that re-energize me, and it makes me feel supercharged for when I do the things that I need to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, so what's your favorite place to go? You say you like to do a lot with nature and go places. Do you have a favorite place?
Well, I I usually don't like to give people favorite places where I like to go, but I guess one place that I used to like to go to in Seattle was a beach, um, that I was at in Edmonds, Washington, where I used to live at. So as kind of like a go-to activity right after work, I would drive from my house, and the beach would be about 7 to 10 minutes away. And I would, drive up, see the sunset, see the water, come up to shore, smell the air, see the mountains and the horizon, see, the dogs playing, and that gave me a lot of peace. Um, right now, currently, I like to just, walk and run on a lot of trails. So I feel like that's my favorite activity.
Cool. Well, it gets you away from the other stuff and it gives you time to think, which is, of course, part of what I suspect that you're really thinking about and looking at, is to get that time to decompress a little bit.
Absolutely. Absolutely, for sure.
So you've talked about motivational speaking and all that. And as long as you love to mentor, what advice do you have for someone who might want to become a motivational speaker or a coach?
Absolutely. I would say take the time to find out what you really love, number one, what you are really good at, or something that you feel like are starting to get good at, and take the time to really study that craft. I know this may sound like very generic or cliche advice, but taking the time to learn from others, right? That could be through reading a book, checking out a YouTube video, reaching out to someone on LinkedIn that inspires you just to learn more about them and have a coffee chat with them. That can really allow you to grow and learn more about a specific space. And it could really inspire you to try new things and go ahead and try them. That's really the most important part. Take action and do. And I know that this is something that I was personally struggling with for a long time, and I still do struggle with it transparently, in my journey. Sometimes you ask yourself, like, oh my gosh, I really want to do this, that, and the third. Where do I begin? And, the answer to that is you just need to start. Start very, very small. And it could be something as, offering to volunteer at an elementary school or a middle school, volunteering to speak at a nursing home, volunteering to speak at your alma mater, like in college, maybe speaking at an organization that you were a part of on campus. All of these things can allow you to grow and learn and get more experience so you feel comfortable with speaking. And that's how you're able to grow. In regards to mentorship, just take the time to mentor someone. It could be something as simple as mentoring your friend when it comes to their resume, giving them a mock interview, giving them advice on what are some of the things that worked for you that help you get a full-time job. And just start small, and you work your way up. There's no such thing as an overnight success. For me, career coaching is something that I've been doing for 6 years, close to 6 years. November would be 6, and by all means, I'm not perfect at it, but I know that I'm getting better every single day. So it's practicing, taking action, and putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm. Which makes a lot of sense. Practice is the only way you're going to really get better. And thinking about what you do, you're absolutely right. So what for you, what are your future aspirations for working as a motivational speaker and as a coach? And just as important, what are your aspirations for life at Boeing?
Absolutely. So I would say aspirations in regards to life at Boeing, I'll start with that, is take the time to work hard and really grow in my field. That is something that I'm very passionate about. I would say long term, I really want to get into sales. At Boeing, sales and marketing. That is a space that I'm very passionate about, and grow, have the opportunity to collaborate and just have the opportunity to work with clients. I love working with people, so that's something that I'm very inspired about. So that's on the Boeing side. In regards to motivational speaking and in regards to career coaching, um, I would say really take the time to continue helping more people. I really want to make more content online. Um, I've been starting to post videos more on my TikTok, and by all means, they are not perfect. Uh, but I've been taking action. I have an account called Chris_Rangon, Rangon. So I've been posting a couple of TikToks, and I want to do more of that. I also intend on posting more YouTube videos. That is something that I'm very passionate about in regards to content creation. And I want to cultivate my own website. I want to build my own website around career coaching, around public speaking. And I guess it's not, I guess, the goal is to hopefully, a very big goal is hopefully to have the opportunity to be flown out to speak at a university or at an organization internationally, and be paid for it. So that is the goal. That is the aspiration. And that is something that will take work. It will take a lot of time to get there. But it's something that I'm very passionate about.
Well, I hope that somebody listening to Unstoppable Mindset might find your story and all the things that you have imparted to us relevant and maybe invite you to do that very thing. We can certainly hope for that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
How do you want to be remembered for your speaking and coaching careers and your time at Boeing? What do you want your legacy to be?
Wow. I've honestly been thinking about that question for a couple of weeks, actually. I would say I want my legacy for speaking to be, wow, Christopher was someone that gave me hope when I did not believe in myself. He took the time to inspire me, and because of him, I'm better and I'm striving to make, others in my life better. I would have to say that is a very, very big inspiration for me, because I always aspire and try my utmost best to share love, to share positivity. I think love is so important, because there's a lot of hate in the world. There's a lot of fear in the world. There's a lot of destruction in the world. So being able to share, love and light is something that I'm very inspired by. For work, I want to be remembered as someone who just shared, emotional intelligence, and positivity. I want people around me to feel inspired to become their best version of themselves. I want people to feel, at peace and feel happy and feel encouraged to take on more work. I want people to, feel motivated to take on extra projects and to really believe in themselves. So in regards to work wise, like I don't necessarily have, a tangible goal of oh, I want to, sell 3,500 airplanes, or things of that nature. Of course, that would be great. But for me, I want to be remembered for helping others, and really helping others. I guess just to elaborate on that more, helping others find, that positivity within them, helping people find, their inspiration within them, feeling inspired. So I would say those are the two things.
Well, it doesn't get better than that, and great aspirations. And I hope it works. You clearly can do it. You're very articulate about what you think. And I really love a lot of the different kinds of pieces of advice that you've given us today. So I want to thank you for that. If people want to reach out to you as a coach, or to explore you speaking where they are, and, I want the same thing, being a keynote speaker and a public speaker, but, this is you. So if people want to reach out to you, how do they do that?
Absolutely. So there are a couple of ways you could do that. You could reach out to me via LinkedIn. My LinkedIn would be provided, but my handle is Christopher Rangon H. Another is via my Calendly. If you are interested in one-on-one mentorship, you could search calendly.com/Christopher-Rangon, RANGON /mentorship. In addition to that, feel free to follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. Both of my handles are Chris, CHRIS _Rangon, RANGON. And for my YouTube channel, feel free to follow me at Skateboard CRH12.
There you go.
Yep. I created that account when I was into skateboarding and I was 12 years old, hence the username Skateboard CRH12.
Cool. Well, Chris, I really am grateful and honored that you came and spent time with us today. And I hope people do reach out to you. And I hope that people will reach out and let us know what they thought of the podcast as well. You can reach me, Michael Hingson, at MICHAELHI at accessibe, ACCESSIBE.com, or go to our podcast page, www.michaelhingson, MICHAELHINGSON.com/podcast. Wherever you're listening, please, we really would appreciate it if you would give us a 5-star rating. We are very grateful for your ratings and your comments, and we would greatly appreciate you doing that for us. We'd love to hear from you. I know Chris would love to hear from you, and we would appreciate both Chris, you, and anyone out there listening. If you know of anyone else who we ought to have as a guest on Unstoppable Mindset, please let us know, or email with introductions, and we would be very happy to reach out. We respond to everything as soon as I see it, so we will definitely respond. But again, Chris, I want to thank you for being here with us, and for all of your time and for all the wisdom that you imparted with us today. We're really grateful for it. And thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate it, Michael. Thank you.